I think it's only fitting to start this episode off just with a big, deep sigh, because, oh man.
Oh, you are teeing this up so good.
Enzo, to me, looks like a more agile, basically a young Chess Fabregas.
It's a Rolls Royce, man. Gotta sell it.
Messi is the Jorginho of international football. That was a dumb take. Oops. Welcome to
Here We Go Again.
Richie Romano, here we go. All right, welcome to Flag Stays Down podcast. I forgot to hit record, so we already did about 10 to 15 minutes of this pod that we're now going to have to do again. So pardon Matt and I not being into the first 15 minutes of this pod here. Parker's not here, thank God. Why does this only happen when you and me are here?
We can't be trusted, apparently.
So Matt, your weekend is going well?
Yeah. Long weekend. Had the little one overnights as my wife was working third shift. So my mother-in-law was nice enough to come down and help out and things like that. Spend some time, just do grandma things. But yeah, it was nice having her. But yeah, been very tired this weekend. And for those who listened last week was also a very tiring weekend for me. So I'm hoping one of these weekends will work out and I can maybe catch up on a little bit of sleep. But until then, we keep pushing forward. Collins, how are things with you, my guy?
It'll come about 18 years from now.
Yeah, when he's out of the house.
Yeah, right. No, I'm good. I just got back from Kansas City, long 9-hour drive. I got to meet my niece for the first time, and it was a special weekend. So I was a little disappointed that I had to listen to this game very earlier in the car ride home, and then sit in that glass case of emotion for another 6 hours after the match. But I knew we'd be chatting tonight, so that made it all better. But let's talk about that match here. Just to wrap it up for everybody. It was a 3-1 result at the London Stadium against West Ham. First London derby of the year. I heard the third of 42 in the Premier League this year.
Will be another Ward-Prowse corner. Let's limit these. Same position. Nay for Guerre. Heads West Ham in front. Identical corner. Chelsea dealt with it a moment ago. Not with that one. This is more promising. How about that, referee? John Brooks. Penalty. Oh, offside. Offside, Areola. Lucky boy. I thought he took Jackson out there. Chilwell with another chance to cross. It's low. It's Zuma. Now Chukwuemeka. Lovely shimmy. Brilliant! Chelsea level. Big moment for Carney Chukwuemeka as well. Souček got the first contact there, then Thiago Silva, then Paqueta manages to squeeze the shot away, and even though it lacked power, it very nearly found the corner. Here's Sterling. Away. Oh, hello, referee. What's he got to point to the spot? Yes, that looked clear as day. Enzo Fernandez to give Chelsea a deserved lead as we approach half-time. Oh, saved by Areola. Ball on here for Antonio. Executed well. The strength to get away from Colwill. Look out! What a finish that is! They've had two chances this game, West Ham, and they've put them both in the net. groans as West Ham give it back to Chelsea. Jackson. Well, Paqueta's been cautioned. He's got to go. Yellow equals red. Off you go, mate. Silly boy diving in. Huge twist in the game here. There's more than a quarter of it left. Madueke. Chelsea need a hero. Oh, it's deflected. Madueke was so nearly the hero. Emerson into Paqueta. Oh, Caicedo. Debut to forget. He says he got some ball. John Brooks didn't see it that way. In it goes. Derby honours for West.
So James Ward-Prowse, because of course on his debut, 2 assists for West Ham, including a corner in the 7th minute that Aguerd scored. Carney Chukwuemeka levels it in the 28th before coming off injured right before half. Ward-Prowse then sets up Mikel Antonio in the 53rd minute, definitely against the run of play. And then, just because it's Chelsea, concede in the 90th plus minute, and this fucking guy, Lucas Paqueta, puts it away. Matt, we'll talk about him later because I know you and I are probably on the same page about that and need a little therapy. Mm-hmm. But let's start with the opening goal. We had chatted a little bit pre-pod as to who is to blame there. And I know prior to me realizing that in record, we were talking a little bit about Axel Disasi. I don't think he was too much involved in that one either, in this goal either. But, where did it all go wrong there in the 7th minute?
I mean, first of all, I really wanted James Ward-Prowse to be a Chelsea player, so I'm a little bit upset that we didn't do that. And for obvious reasons, he decides to show us up. And I even mentioned in the group chat, I'm like, James Ward-Prowse scares me. He just does. Like, every time I see him play, I know something's going to happen. Well, sure shit. I can predict that, but I can't predict, most other Chelsea things. So, it's got to count for something. But as far as that corner, I mean, it was, again, it's a good delivery from Ward-Prowse, what you'd expect. I don't know. I look at Carney, I look at Connor. I think Connor and Carney both got wrong-footed in that. There was a little nudge in the back from Connor, but he just looked a little bit wrong-footed, and Carney, from what I saw, it looked like we were kind of doing a hybrid of, maybe some man marking and zone marking. And I think Carney had the back post, and, for lack of a better analogy, he kind of left his post and started ducking in towards the actual mix of players and everything like that, which left that exposed, and he went up for the header and completely missed it, which then we saw the end result. So for me, I put the blame on Connor and Carney primarily. I did question a little bit Sanchez and kind of where he was, like how he started and where he ended up. Again, looked a little, I don't know, unconvincing, but I mean, it happens. But yeah, it just wasn't a good look, and especially that early on in the match. It was kind of the precursor to what we would eventually see as the game went on.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought up Carney. You and I then watched the highlight together here. And yeah, I can see where he gets a little bit of the blame. Me personally, I think he was supposed to be the help. I thought he was probably marking Jared Bowen, who went away from goal on the corner. And so, I think Carney got kind of caught in no man's land. But Conor Gallagher, for the physicality that he shows on the pitch, sure did get bodied there. Didn't even. I know he tried to make an effort. I could see that he was trying to make an effort, but just embarrassed there in the early part of the match. And so, I'm putting most of it on Connor, but I'm glad he brought up Robert Sanchez as well. I said last week I was really excited for him. He commands the box. It's an early contender for terrible take of the year. he's now conceded on every single shot on goal against him for Chelsea this year, which is quite the stats. I think Kepa is going to be welcomed back with open arms next year. Yeah, not good from Sanchez backing into the goal and not making a move towards ball. So yeah, I got to split it between Connor and Robert Sanchez on that, but I can absolutely see where you come from on Carney there. I just think he, as the help, I don't know if I can put too much blame on him there. But Carney did make up for it. What about 20 minutes later? Ball kind of pinging around in the box there. Carney then drops to Carney, takes a couple touches, cuts in towards the box. And oof, boy, what a shot to the far post. Special shot. Very happy for him. I'm wearing my Carney Chukwuemeka jersey right now. Just a couple quick facts on that goal. Number one, Carney becomes the 9th teenager ever to score a Premier League goal for Chelsea in our 100+ year history. The second one being a little more random, courtesy of Opta Joe. Carney Chukwuemeka is the 3rd player with the initials CC to score a Premier League goal for a club beginning with C, after Chris Coleman for Crystal Palace and Carlton Cole for Chelsea and Charlton. So for whatever that's worth, congratulations to Carney Chukwuemeka. Matt, it was a hell of a goal.
Yeah, he had a little flare on, a little dipsy do, and just rifled that ball. He placed it perfectly. Keeper didn't have a chance. I don't think he ever saw it, and he hit that thing pure with pace. It was a great take and a great goal for him.
Yeah, very, very happy for him. And again, being 19, we all thought that he was getting kind of shortchanged last year. Not making too many appearances. This is the first time in his Chelsea career that he has played in back-to-back matches. And I think, even if we do bring in a Mamadou Kudus or a Jeremy Doku or somebody, another attacking mid, before the window closes here, I think Chukwuemeka has solidified a spot in this squad until Matt, right before halftime. Seemed like kind of an innocuous thing. It goes down hard, clutching that left knee. Reports come out later that he left the stadium on crutches. Matt, you're the expert on knee injuries. What do you think happened there?
Yeah, just based on what I saw and where he was grabbing, and kind of where they were focused, it to me looks like MCL. Granted, I am not a doctor, so take it for what you will, but I have had my fair share of MCL issues, and so with that, it looked very similar. He tried to walk it off. It's one of those things where, at least in my case, when I heard it like tear, you hear like a pop, and you really can't walk on it for a while. Eventually you're able to walk on it, but you don't have a lot of stability anymore in your knee, because that MCL is kind of what keeps the knee in place, along with all the other CLs that are around it. But yeah, it's not fun. But yeah, I'm hoping it's not severe. If it's just a little sprain, that's good. I would expect to see him back in, I would say, probably a month at the earliest, but that's kind of best case scenario. So I'm hoping that's what it is. But yeah, I just hope for a speedy recovery for him. It's a whirlwind of emotions when you're 19 years old, you score your first goal, and then you end up having to be subbed off at half and then leave the stadium on crutches. So yeah, all the best for Carney.
It reminded me a lot of Wes Fofana last year against AC Milan. Scores his first goal for the club, and then minutes later down with an injury, and he was out for 3 months, 4 months, something like that. So definitely hope Carney has a speedy recovery. He's one of my favorite players on this squad. I think he's got boatloads of potential. And I hate to see, but a day like today where he scores his first goal also be something that derails his season and his career. So all the best to Carney. Put T's and P's. And I think I went out of order here, but kind of added insult to injury after the missed penalty just a few minutes earlier. Raheem Sterling brought down at the edge of the box. VAR reviews it. It was in the box. So we had kind of chatted about this in the preseason. If you don't believe me, you can check back to some of our older pods from the summer. But who was going to be our penalty taker this year? I think all three of us had different answers. Enzo was mine. Enzo last year was 5 for 5 for Benfica. Alphonse Areola had not saved a penalty in like 3 or 4 years, which is an astounding stat. Matt, you watched it live. Walk me through Enzo's penalty.
The end result switched everything in my mind, as most things do, right? You think one thing, you see the end result didn't pan out. So as they were sorting everything out with the penalty, I saw in the background Enzo had taken the ball and already placed it himself. So I'm like, okay, it's Enzo. He's confident. He's taking the ball. He doesn't care if, with all the shithousery that goes on during penalties and blah, blah, blah. He doesn't care. He's taking the ball, setting it. He's taking it. The run up. If I see another slow fucking run up like that, just put the ball in the back of the fucking net. That's all I ask. Just do it. He starts on the opposite side. He starts on the right side of the ball, comes across to the left, and still kind of, I don't know, it's just a weird setup from my perspective. And then the penalty, it wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen, but like after looking at it, once it was saved and everything like that, I started thinking about it more and more, and I'm like, I wonder if Enzo was like overconfident and just doing it very nonchalant. Like, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to take the ball. I'm going to set it down before anything. I'll take whatever. I'm going to make it. And then it looked kind of nonchalant. And he put it in a very savable position. We talk about, the perfect height for a keeper, right? It was perfect. And it wasn't like a small, a couple fingers. No, this was a full-blown both hands save. So it wasn't a great taken penalty. I wasn't happy in my review of it after the fact, but to me it just seemed like a result of overconfidence, and it's kind of one of the first times we can actually say anything bad about Enzo. So I have to also kind of take that into consideration. But that's something that is going to stick with me for a while. And I think it's going to be a conversation point going forward when it comes to that question of who is our penalty taker. If somebody like a Reece James is not on the pitch, then with who you had available out there, who would have taken it? At this point, you could make an argument for damn near anybody.
Yeah, and we don't have like a set. We don't have somebody who has boatloads of penalty experience. Enzo, like I said, was 5 for 5 for Benfica last year. Raheem Sterling, we've seen miss countless times for City and for Liverpool and for England. I know I'm not going to I'm not going to steal your thunder. I know you have one in mind. Reece James, we know, is a great free kick specialist. Seems to have ice cold veins. An interesting one that they were mentioning on TalkSport was Axel Disasi, scored 6 goals for Monaco last year. 3 of them were penalties. I don't know if I want to center back that far forward. I guess if you're playing in a back 3 like we have been, you can cope, you can cover. I don't know if I'm sold on that, but I trust Enzo. I think a lot was going through Enzo's mind on this one. He hasn't scored for the club yet. Like I said, he was 5 for 5 previously. He's taken a few for Argentina. But just the combination of that, and you did a great job explaining the whole build up to the actual shot itself. It just seemed like, all right, I'm gonna play every little mindfuck game I can right now, all at once. The switching sides, the stuttering, run up. It was like trying to be, I don't know. It was very like fucking around on FIFA Online, and yeah, I don't know. It to me, it came off as not confident. But I say stick with him. He's already your free kick specialist. Like, he's already taken a lot of our free kicks. He's taken corners on the left side, I think, or is it the right? I can't. He takes one of them. He's your number 8. I say let it ride, but I think there are sleeper options out there. But Matt, who are you thinking?
Yeah, I'll keep tooting his horn and as long as I can. I think your left-footed assassin Ben Chilwell would be a good option. We know what he can do on a volley. We know what he can do on free kicks, on corners, set pieces. Like, we've seen what he can do. I wouldn't be shocked to see him maybe take one from the spot. It's and you brought up the mind games. How much of a mind fuck would it be? You have your left back as your primary penalty taker, and I don't think Chilwell has taken one in a game. Maybe in penalties, like if something's gone that far, maybe, but I don't even know if he has. Like, that would be an absolute mind-blowing thing. But the actual Disasi thing is actually really interesting. Even in the, I forgot what was the Liverpool penalties, when we did that, Thiago Silva, he can slot him home. You talk about a man with a lot of experience. He's done it on the world stage. He might not be a bad option. And I mean, if you plan it right, you don't have to worry about him getting back, because he won't be able to get back that quick. So you plan for that. I don't know. I think there are some other options. I think we'll stick with Enzo, but I want to see more confidence as he's taking those, as opposed to this, I don't even know what to call it, this Fred Astaire dance studio of a run up. Put the ball in the back of the fucking net. Like, it reminded me of Neymar. It had Neymar vibes. 30 steps to move 6 yards.
Neymar, Paul Pogba, and a little bit of Jorginho in there, I would say.
Rumor has it that Paul Pogba is still working on his run up from 3 years ago. So we're still waiting on the outcome of that kick.
So, like I said, Carney gets injured shortly after. We go to halftime. Mudryk has come on since. Seems to be all Chelsea at that point. West Ham then score kind of out of nowhere. James Ward-Prowse sets up Mikel Antonio. I don't want to discuss that goal. It was still against the run of play. It was just one of those, it happens to Chelsea things, is my opinion. But but it seems like after that goal, after the Antonio goal, things got hectic on our side. They didn't seem to be as organized. The amount of possession we had didn't really turn into those threatening chances that it had in the first half, or even early in the second half. There are a couple chances here and there, but all of a sudden we stopped calling Raheem Sterling's name as much. Didn't see much out of Nico Jackson after a while. Things just kind of derailed, I would say. Even after West Ham went down to 10 men, I would say things got worse for us. What do you think happened there, Matt?
Pick any combination of things you want. For me, I have to look at some of the substitutions early on. Taking Chills off to bring in Caicedo. That was an interesting one. Not so much that I would say it's more the fact that Chilwell came off, not the fact that Caicedo came on. That was an interesting one. Raz was out of steam by the 70th minute. If you start looking when we did keep going down the right, anytime that ball would go to Raz, he would just kind of hold up play. And then we try to make something happen. We tried to work Malo Gusto like he was Reece James on those overlaps and things like that. When Caicedo came on, everybody looked lost. I remember Thiago Silva was like telling Caicedo where to go, like where to open up to. And so I don't think that that's necessarily Caicedo's fault. He just joined this week. So I think it's a tough spot to be in, especially when you're down already. And you're coming in and, I know we switched formations. We went to a back four, kind of in that, but at certain parts of this match, it felt very last season with a lot of just back passing, a lot of looking for people to get open, not a lot of movement. It looked very stale. And when we did move forward and did get chances, West Ham was sitting in that low block with 10, and we still only had like 3 guys maybe in the box, and they weren't even close. Like, if we're gonna go and try and get a win, like, you have to go and try and get the win. It just seemed like we were waiting for the perfect pass every single time, and it never showed up. So it felt very last season-y. For certain parts of the match. And that's kind of one of the big things I took away, because we are not used to seeing that so far with the preseason tour and even against Liverpool. We're not used to seeing that. It was kind of a step in the wrong direction, but not necessarily something that we can't recover from.
Yeah, we're only 1/19th the way through the season, 2/38. Like it's early days. The only sub that really bothered me was the Caicedo sub. I'm excited to have him. I think he's going to unlock Enzo even further. We signed him on Tuesday, right? So his first day of training was Wednesday. Wednesday, probably an easy day. Thursday, Friday's your walkthrough. 90% sure they didn't train yesterday, or if they did, it was a light, another walkthrough. So there hasn't been time for him to assimilate into the squad. This would have been great if we could have got Caicedo done early in the summer while we were on tour or something, right? But to get him a week and a half into the season, they should have, Pochettino should have either started him and let him build himself into the game, build up confidence, or just left him off like we did with Lavia. And I know Lavia was signed Thursday, Friday, something like that. So like he wasn't going to play regardless, but giving Caicedo another week would have been fantastic. And then letting him, ball out against Luton Town next week would have been the ideal. But now I feel like Caicedo is kind of behind the eight ball here. With how ruthless this fan base can be, and it's unfortunate, but yeah, I don't know what necessarily changed. It's almost like for me, it was like a mindset that changed. The first half, Raheem Sterling was going at Emerson all the time. It was constantly down that flank with Raheem Sterling, and he was just gliding through like butter. This was the best Raheem Sterling we have seen at Chelsea. But it's just we didn't have people on the end of crosses, or we did and they were mishitting. But as soon as the subs started coming on, as soon as Antonio put West Ham back on top, all of a sudden it fried everybody's circuits. It's either I'm gonna do it myself, or I forgot what I'm supposed to be doing, kind of thing. Or you have people playing overlapping positions, things like that. It just got a little chaotic. And I think we talked earlier about growing pains. It's one of them. We had Mason Burstow come on. He's what, 18, 19?
19.
Yeah. Noni Madueke is 20. Caicedo is young. Mudryk is still young. So, I mean, you had 7, 8, 9 guys there who were under the age of 23. These things are going to happen. It's just unfortunate that coming off of a shitty last season, that this has happened in the second match of this year. I've already seen people calling for Pochettino to be sacked. Normally that's me. I'm doing that.
I was gonna say I would be surprised, or I wouldn't be surprised if you were one of them with how quick you are on the trigger of managers.
I forgot who that Barcelona quote unquote beat writer is, or influencer is, but calma. Everything's gonna be okay. I trust in Poach. So
this week.
Dude,
we'll see what happens next week.
He's playing with the U23 squad. I mean, God, if Thiago Silva wasn't out there, the average age of this team would probably be like 20 and a half, right? Mm-hmm. So this shit's gonna happen. And we all said, God, was it 2 weeks ago already we did our season preview pod? Europa League. Mm-hmm. Europa League is a good target for us. So people need to temper expectations here and remember that we're coming off of a 12th place season and we have gutted our entire squad. Shit happens.
Yep. No, I completely agree. It's something that we're going to have to get used to. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, regardless of, spending all this money and bringing in all this new talent and everything like that. They need time together. A preseason tour in the US isn't going to solve that. It's not. It's a good start, but it's not going to solve it. And I think once we are done, once the transfer window closes, then we see what we have. Then we start moving the right pieces around as far as who works with who doesn't. And then we can start solidifying our 11 from that point. And keep in mind, we're also without Christian Nkunku, who was a big part of that summer tour. Mudryk, I'm not sure why he's not starting. Nothing against Carney at all. But
now he's going to.
Well, right. But I'm saying, like, with what we saw out of him in the preseason tour, he looked like a completely different player. Why he's not starting, I don't know. But I know he will be now, so we'll see what that is. It's good to see Noni back. I thought he was very lively when he was on the pitch for that 15-20 minute cameo that he had. Caicedo will fall into his own when he has time to adjust. Lavia will come into his own as well with some time. So, and you look at the defense, Fofana is still out, Benoit is still out, Trev is still out. So you're kind of grasping at straws for some crucial pieces of your starting 11 that aren't available to you. So we're making things work as best we can right now. But yeah, it's not the ideal way to start your season, but we still have a long way to go. So it's going to happen. Some days it's not your day. Today it was not ours. Our youth, I think, and our togetherness got exposed by a team that is pretty much the same, with the exception of swapping out Declan Rice with James Ward-Prowse. Everything else still pretty much looks the same. So it's something that we're going to have to deal with as the season goes on, but it's nothing to be up in arms about right now.
And I think our lineup is going to fall into place because of these injuries, because of the signings. I don't think we've been playing our best 11 these last two matches. I love Carney. I already said that. I've made that well known on this pod, but I don't think he is in a Chelsea best 11 this year. Mudryk, the way he played in preseason, the way he played for Ukraine, give him a run of matches, and I think he will flourish on that left. Nothing against Conor Gallagher, but like I said in our season preview pod, I think he is the spark plug off the bench. I think he's the guy who's going to come in for 30 minutes and just sprint everywhere. Caicedo getting up to speed is going to allow for that. You're going to have Enzo and Caicedo there. Now, do we then go to a back four? I don't know. I think it's going to depend on how well Lavia does in his first couple training sessions. But just a couple tweaks here and there. And if Raheem Sterling is going to play like he played today, and there were even people praising how he played against Liverpool. We did not on this pod. We did not like the way he played. But there was a good chunk of media and Chelsea Twitter and all that who were praising him. So if we can get a good Raheem Sterling on the right, that fixes that. And then I think we have a best 11.
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest thing is shoring up our defense. I don't see us going to a back four. I really don't, because most of what we do runs through Chills and Reese. Whether people like it or not, like, they are the people that we rely on to get forward, whip those balls in, things like that. I specifically talked about Enzo and those, looping passes that he makes effortlessly. A good chunk of those against Liverpool went to Reece James.
Well, let me. Oh, go ahead.
Enzo's going to distribute, right? That's what he's going to do. He's going to do a fantastic job. I think most of it you're going to find going out to the wing backs, Reese and Chills, and they're going to be the ones kind of being the catalysts, or the ones kind of garnering more of the assists, so to speak. But Enzo is going to be the one who still frees them and sets them in motion to be able to do that. So Enzo is still very much the facilitator. He is still pulling the strings, but I still think your assists and where your dangerous balls are going to come from are still going to be Reece and Chills. So I don't think you can switch to a back four and risk not having them up high in the attack.
And I've heard mixed reports on when Reece is coming back. I've heard a couple weeks, I've heard a couple months, and until we get something from the club, I just have to assume the worst on my end here. But with Reece being out, here's my argument for a back four. Number one, we played it the entire fucking preseason. I don't know where the switch to the back five, back three, whatever you want to call it, came from. Especially when we've got two defenders or two center backs who are out injured. You would think that you would want to have one who's not Bashir Humphreys, be on your bench, right? But the other thing is, Silva and Colwill are clearly 1 and 2. Disasi's good. I don't think, like I said, I don't think he's up to speed yet. But Colwill's got that good recovery speed, so he can go up when necessary. He could slot into a left back with Chilwell pushing up, a hybrid left back with Chilwell pushing up. Malo Gusto has great recovery speed, but his attack is so, right? So you could leave him back, Gusto a little bit back, Silva, Colwill, and then you got Caicedo in front of them, who led all midfielders in tackles last year, and allow Chilwell to still go forward while Reece James is out. Now with James back, that complicates all of that. But I think in the meantime, a back four could work, and that allows your guy Conor Gallagher to slot into that second number 8 role with Enzo.
Yeah, I think that would work for the time being. If we're talking about best 11, everybody healthy, then I think all day you back 3. You'd have Fofana, you would have Thiago Silva, and depending on Disasi, how well he comes up to it, you might have him. Argument could be made for Benoit as well. So you would have options with everybody healthy, so that wouldn't be an issue. But I still think with Chills and Reece healthy, you need them in that wing back position playing higher up.
right. Well, I didn't post the polls today because travel. Well, wife was sitting next to me. I wasn't going to tweet and drive. I have
Or would that be X drive?
Yeah, X and drive. Oh God, that's something completely different. I have a feeling we're going to be agreeing on the man to get the fuck out of here. And that's why I saved that one for last. But Matt, who is your man of the match?
Mason, right at the heart of that, man of the match. How good a Chelsea performance was it?
Yeah, I'm quite surprised I got man of the match, to be fair.
So for me, I will swallow this pill. It's very tough for me. I will give it to Raheem Sterling. I thought he was our most lively. He was our most lively player. It was a surprise to see him play like that because we haven't seen it in so long. We know he can do it. He just did it today. So we know he can do it. It's just he doesn't do it often. So that's kind of the frustrating part for me. But props to him. He played very well today. So all deserving for him.
I like the Raheem Sterling pick. He was going to be mine too, but I feel like we need to shout out more than one player here. So I want to give honorable mention to Carney Chukwuemeka. Had he not been injured, maybe this game goes a little bit differently. He looked lively up top, sitting in behind Nicholas Jackson. There were a couple times where Sterling would put a ball in and both Carney and Jackson would be there. Neither of them would connect, but they'd both be there. So who knows, maybe Carney connects on another one in the second half. But he does score his first goal for the club. Again, 9th teenager in Chelsea history, in our long, long, long history, to score for the club. Picks up the yellow, just being a dog. Just, oh my God. I'm sad Carney's gonna be gone. So I want to give him a little props today. He was my man of the match.
I'm perfectly fine with that. He was very deserving as well.
We'll call him the I don't know, man of the disabled list. Does that work?
Yeah, a lot of nominees.
All right, well, turning to our other award, man of the get the fuck out of here. This one I don't care if we agree on or not, because I think we're both going to.
Shut your fucking mouth, you'll do nothing. You'll do fucking nothing. Not one of you will do nothing. Get the fuck out of here.
I'll start, and it's Lucas Paqueta. Just fuck him.
No argument from me. I'll piggyback on that all day. If I was Caicedo, because they had a little battle going for a little bit. If I was Caicedo, I would have just kept pushing him off the ball. And then finally, like at the very end of the match, just take him out, get a hard yellow, a firm yellow, and call it a day. The fact is, Connor barely touched him. He flopped to the ground. They had a conversation. The very next thing was a throw-in. And him and I think Malo Gusto went up for a ball, just a header, and he flew probably 10 feet. The very next play. On top of that is little bullshit with Caicedo. And lastly, he scores that he converts the pen, and then he's going to the crowd like, yes, I did that, like he's one of their own. And he's linked to Man City, and he has been heavily linked to Man City. It's not lost on anybody. Like, dude, we know you're going. Stop. Like, no, we really don't care about you.
He's also linked to Suspension FC.
Yes, for gambling. You're gambling for betting. Yeah.
And gambling on if he'd get a fucking yellow card.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Like anything. Like he should have had at least a yellow at the very least. And that's not even for the shit I just mentioned, just other tackles and whatever, and like accumulation. Easily should have had a yellow. If I was playing, I would have no problem. Studs up, right to the knee. Fine, I'll serve my 3 games. Worth it.
My man of the get the fuck out of here moment for him is they're down the touch line there, and I think it's either Gusto or Sterling barely tugs his jersey, right? Just the slightest of tugs. Paqueta stops playing. Raz takes the ball and we almost score. And that's not the first time that he had self-officiated this match. In fact, I think that's what his yellow card was for.
I think that was what his yellow was for. It was for dissent.
Yeah. So
I was like,
easily could have had another yellow for dissent.
It's so bad. And so the one thing I'll touch on, not to switch topics, but have you noticed that the officiating has gone down drastically from the first match, from the first week to the second week? First week, I remember seeing people getting carded for like time wasting on throw ins, like real early on. All that shit's out the window after 1 week. Like they tried making it a firm point, like don't talk to officials and everything like that. They're going to have a harder stance on that. No, not at all. You saw 1 week and now you don't see it at all anymore. Like, pick something and stick with it.
I will say I agree with you for the most part. Even the added time at the end of halves went down, I think, this week. But they are sticking to the self-officiating, like cracking down on that. We saw it last week with I can never pronounce his name, Sasabalai for Liverpool.
Mm-hmm.
Got carded for diving, which has always been a rule, or at least has been for the last 5 years. We had just never seen it called, right? He got carded against us last week. Paqueta gets carded for it this week. Could have been, and then I believe he got called for another foul on that, or like a no call or something.
Yeah.
So I think the refs are trying to take back control. It's just I think they're honing in on the things that hurt their egos.
Yes. Yeah, it's pretty much it. And let's be honest, they fucking suck at it. But that's a whole separate conversation for a different day.
It was nice having a ref that I wasn't too familiar with, though, this week.
John Brooks.
Yeah, John Brooks.
It wasn't the worst I've ever seen. It wasn't Anthony Taylor, but
yeah, no, he wasn't terrible. Even like VAR hasn't really fucked us over this year. So it's been refreshing kind of having a change of guard in the officiating. Now, granted, if we were like Wolves and we get fucked over against Manchester United, like then I'm pissed. But Chelsea has yet to be a
victim.
Affected, yes. All right. Well, Lucas Paqueta easily, man, to get the fuck out of here. Matt, before we close up shop today, any closing thoughts?
Just sit tight. It will get better.
I like that. All right. Well, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts. If you're on Apple, leave us a little message. You can talk shit about Matt or myself or Parker. Tell Parker he needs to get back on this fucking pod for once. But give us 5 stars. Spotify is really easy. Just that little star. Just select 5 of them, and we're good to go. You can follow us on social media. You can follow us on Twitter /X, Facebook, Instagram. We're on Threads. We don't really use it, but you have to just look up at Flag Down Pod. You can find me, Andy. I'm at Comiskey North on X. Matt was trying to get his back. I don't think he ever did. And Parker is at DJ Parkour. So Matt, you're right. You're absolutely right. I think we got to hold tight. Things are going to get better. We got Luton Town next weekend. And hopefully we do some cooking. Chef Foley this week, bring us an attacking mid. So until next week, cheers.
Cheers.